Hello, accountability buddies. I'm Les, and this is another episode of Less is More Healthy, and I'm coming to you from a public way that I'm going to keep secret. I did record the route in here, but I'm not going to show it because I don't want anyone to know about this mildly creepy, weird little spot. I'm going to show you where it's at in some video, or what the view looks like. And if you are from the area, you'll probably recognize some of the landmarks and be able to find it yourself. But too many of my favorite spots have become overpopulated. So yeah, I've never seen another person out here. I mean, it's very clear people do come out here because the walkway is pretty well populated. There's some weird shiny things. And there's obviously kids come out here because there's some graffiti and stuff that's mildly humorous and spelled badly. But anyway, yeah, it's a little weird and wacky out here. I like it a lot. So, but anyway, I wanted to talk about my last week on the bike. So, last week I had a 4-day week, as did everyone else in the area, and there's a dragonfly behind me making noise, catching stuff. So I decided over vacation that I was going to ride my bike in all 4 days if it was possible, and I really pushed myself to do that. So I rode my bike to work 4 days last week and home 4 days, and felt like crap. If I'm totally honest, it was a bad week to be riding my bike in. It's the first week back at school for most of the kids in the area. Traffic was high as people figure out their commute schedules with kids going back to school, their commute schedules with Salem traffic building up for Halloween and October. And yeah, not a great week. And also, I felt like crap. Really felt like crap the whole week. So, one of the things that I've noticed is, and this is the observation that I'm going to make about riding, is I think it really helps me after a ride to be moving. So yeah, I do my whole bathtub soak thing after a ride, but also after I do that, I'm usually moving around. I'm not sitting still. Whereas I get to work, I clean up, I do my whole routine post ride, so that I can be ready to work. But then I'm sitting on my butt for 8 hours. And then I do another 12.5-mile ride. And that does not work for me. And normally, when I'm at work, I'm pretty active. I work in a studio environment. I do spend about half my day sitting on my butt. But usually for a good 4 hours out of my day, I'm up and I'm moving around. I'm doing things. I'm not sitting still. However, last week was training week. So I'm basically sitting in chairs that are super uncomfortable for me. My feet don't touch the floor. I have to sit crisscross in this chair. Yeah, I just hated it. But not, well, that's not the right, it just was, that sedentary thing after moving was not great for my body. I had muscle stiffness and soreness that I just don't usually have. I had acid reflux, which is like a whole other thing going on that I'll talk about in a second. So I also ate like crap. When I ride my bike, my body knows what to do with carbs, right? And so sometimes I use that as an excuse to revert back to some of my old eating habits. And I definitely allowed my old eating habits to free reign for the majority of last week. I just was not careful with my diet. I didn't take care of my diet at all. And it was bad. It was not a good thing for me to be doing. So that's something I'm going to be much more careful about. I'm going to be much more aware of my carb intake for the upcoming weeks, because I really want to go into the winter when I'm more like less active and more sedentary, being careful about what I'm putting into my body in terms of diet. Also, the bike felt like shit. It just like, I had some issues with tire pressure, which has to do with the Ride Now tubes and their valve core getting loose every time I pump them up. So I've learned now that when I pump up these TPU tubes, when I'm done, I need to, like, at the end of all of that, tighten those valve cores. So there's that. And then the brakes keep resituating themselves. And I don't know, and it does it to both front and the rear. The rear is usually less of a problem than the front. Neither one of them works very well anymore. And I realize if I'm going to continue with this bike, I have to update those brakes. Yeah, the brakes just are not, they're fine on flats most of the time. But you know, with the rail trails, there are bumps, and they just, I don't know what it is. Like, the tires, the wheels themselves aren't moving. It's something to do with the brake calipers. I am going to drop a little bit more Loctite on the bolts, and see if that helps hold them in place a little better. But they're shit. So they were not rubbing and then rubbing. So yesterday I went through, I did chain lube, because I add lube every 100 miles, do a little clean with microfiber, and then go over the chain with some more wax lube. And that's all fine. The drivetrain's working fine. The wheel itself is okay. I do need to throw it on the truing stand. There are a couple of spots where it's a little out of true, but that shouldn't be affecting the brakes. I did tune the brakes, and so they seem to be okay this morning, but I guess we'll find out. Yeah, so that's a whole thing. And then the very last thing that happened is that I was almost hit. Well, and I don't even know if I want to say I was almost hit. There's a intersection that scares the bejesus out of me every time. Like, I usually get to this intersection, and it's in the first 5 miles of my ride, or the last 5 miles of my ride home. And people just don't like to stop. And I get why they don't like to stop at this intersection. It is bracketed on either end by stoplights. So I think it's like a half mile back or a quarter mile back on either side of this trail crossing or street crossing for the trail, that there are stoplights. And it is a 35-mile-an-hour zone. And people are generally, it's downhill on either side. So it goes down into this little valley, this little dip. And people are building up speed, and they're hitting 55 miles an hour there easily between these two lights. And people really like to hit this section at speed before they get to the other light. It's like a racetrack to get to that other light. And so when they hit that crossing and there are yellow lights there, sometimes they can't stop. And it's super dangerous. So every time I get to this crossing, at least 2 to 3 cars blow through it before someone finally stops. And yeah, someone stopped. 2 cars blew through. A car finally stopped. I started to make my crossing. A truck blew through super fast. He had to have been going at least 55 miles an hour. And there was another car quite a ways back. I thought she was going to stop. And instead she hit the gas. And I caught it. Fortunately, I saw that she wasn't going to stop. And I was able to stop on the yellow line. My front tire was just past the yellow line. She came screeching to a stop. And then I pedaled through, and she rolled her window down and yelled at me that I should apologize. Demanded that I apologize. And I kept going, and I didn't curse at her as much as I really wanted to, but I definitely said, I'm not apologizing for you breaking the law. And, you know, at this point, it's not really about being right or being in the right or being legal. It's about this intersection being super dangerous. You know, I do wonder how many people have been hit there, how many cyclists have been hit there, or how many near misses there are. I do want to go out, I think, with a camera at some point and see how many times people blow that intersection and don't slow down. I'd love to be able to calculate their speed when they hit that, because it's so dangerous. But anyway, it scared the bejesus out of me, and I rode part of the way home. I did do 10 miles or almost 11 miles on that return trip home. And I called my partner. I was like, hey, pick me up at the 99. So she came over and picked me up at the 99. I threw the car in the bike on the car rack and drove home. And she knew something was up because I was fuming. And it's like, I'm not even scared about that anymore. I'm mad that the way this is set up is so dangerous and unsafe, and that neither city that is on either side of that intersection is doing anything about it. You know, I think at rush hour in the morning, there are so many kids walking to school and walking through that area that there should be some sort of police presence. And I'm not the first person, like, or a person that's like, yeah, we should have a cop presence everywhere. It's not me. But I do think there needs to be some sort of like oversight in that spot. That's beside the point. Anyway, I guess this is just sort of a call for everyone to be safe out there and to be careful when you're crossing the street. Make sure that the cars are stopping. They're not doing that rolling stop thing. I'm waiting for everyone to stop at that intersection now, because I know I can't trust people to actually do the right thing and stop. So anyway, be safe out there. Ride your bike. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.